The dust has settled in the first half of the season, but the battlefield's only getting hotter. Rivalries are brewing, new threats are emerging, and every team's caught in the crossfire. Welcome to the Tilt Proof, the mid-season special. My name's Infernosis, joined here by Nerds and Angel. We're super excited. Episode 4, basically our midpoint, y'all, for trying to figure out where the heck everything has gone wrong and right for a lot of these teams to this point. How we feeling?
I like that setup, the wrong and right, because it sets something up. It's ominous. It sets up the future of what's to come in terms of the standings. So I not only do I vibe with that, but also, you know, that's the foreshadowing. I'm feeling pretty good. I'm feeling excited. We have a lot of fun stuff planned, and I hope that we can get into it. I'm very easily excitable. I feel like I'm always like a little child, like, yippee, we're getting into it.
No, it's been good. I think last week actually was very, very surprising to actually watch unfold. I know that, you know, unfortunately we had matches happen during the great NA DDoS attack, which sucked, but honestly, like, a lot, I was very surprised by a lot of the results. We'll talk about that. So
all right, well, let's talk about those results. Let's jump straight on over to it. It was Stony Brook versus Utah. Anyone surprised by the result by the end of that one? Stony Brook taking it into a fashion.
Oh, boys, Utah. I believed.
I wasn't surprised. Like, obviously, I think going into it, we knew that Stony Brook was expecting to be the winners in that series. I was impressed with Utah. I think that they've consistently been getting better, and I think it's only a matter of time until we actually see them kind of get their inaugural win. I don't necessarily know if it's going to be in the fall, but it's good signs moving into the next season, like the spring.
Absolutely.
Listen, I love the Seawolves, but I wanted to believe, and unfortunately, this didn't happen. I'm sad.
Our Vibes merchant got it wrong.
Yeah.
Next match is Ohio State versus St. Clair Saints.
This one I also picked off of Vibes, and I got it right. What does that mean?
Well, I mean, okay, all right. So let's.
Broken clocks,
if Dez
right,
isn't
twice a
Dezing
day.
all over the place, then you're going to find St. Clair more likely than not coming with a victory there. That's a result that I feel like was kind of expected. And St. Clair have been kind of on a tear recently. The only team we have actually marked right now is 3-1. I think Winthrop technically just has to get changed on the website for that right now, but they're deservedly up there for a reason. They are arguably the second or third best team, uncontestedly. In the league right now.
I mean, listen, honestly, again, it was a match where I wasn't surprised, but I was really, really impressed. And it was, again, Ohio State having a solid game plan on Corrode, and honestly, the one downside to this team is the calling and the attacking structure. And I think as soon as they get that solved, the amount of firepower that's on that team, that becomes like a really, really scary roster.
Yeah, I think they have I think they have a lot of growth room, and I think the inconsistency problems only get ironed out the tougher opponents that you face, right? That turns it over towards Maryville in West Virginia. This one we were saying was, hey, Maryville's last real test, because their schedule, let's be honest, they had one of the hardest strengths of schedules in the league to this point, and look, they're the only team that has now gone completely undefeated throughout the start of Division.
I mean, I think me and you both, AncientAngel, on the previous Tilt Proof, kind of, we talked about this to some degree about West Virginia. My logic of picking stuff is 50% like vibes and 50% like the actual logic. And this was an actual logic pick for me because West Virginia, we expected them to do like be in the top 4, right? Like like top 5 of the schools. We had a top 3, we had a top 5 of the other 2, and we had the total rest of the 8. And this is a team we expect in the top 5. So we thought, you know, whether they won or not, we expected a map. I think the unexpected element here was that they didn't pick up at least one of the maps out of the Bay 03. Like, that's the thing that was like, wow, okay. Maryville is like really unsurprisingly, but also really good. And yeah, it's a bit unfortunate for West Virginia.
I think the biggest thing was the fact that not only has Maryville been able to do this against the Big 5, like the rest of the Big 5, but also the fact that they went into the last 2 weeks against both Stony Brook and West Virginia without Wildfire and with just either Eccles or Screwface. Like, it was just inconsistent week to week in terms of that starting 5, and they still found success, and it looked like they made absolutely no changes. Like, that's how strong Maryville is right now.
I think that's even more impressive considering the fact that they're capable to do that. And we talked a lot about how West Virginia is a really solid team, and we expect them to be up there. They also had to do that this week, and unfortunately couldn't, right? They were losing out on Euron, who was the statistical best player in the league in many of our stat margins, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they're not there this week, and it really hurts West Virginia. There's a lot of those rounds where I felt like if they just had Euron, the moment would have been different. If they just had one extra little bit of oomph in their back pocket, a lot of the rounds would have been different, and maybe even a map could have gone different. But the game day decisions, things happen, and it turns into a victory for Maryville, and 2-0s all around, and that turns it over to our 2-0 for Boise State versus Winthrop, where we had a DDoS NA thing for Riot, which kind of stinks. We didn't really get to see a lot of that one, but I will say Boise State was leading by like 6 or 7 rounds by the time that we cut off of that first map on Abyss. But Boise State's kind of known for Abyss, and that half is kind of known for a favorited side, and Boise State was taking advantage of it. So.
I'm gonna fully cope. Here. I say, if we didn't have it, Boise would have won, baby. They would have won. The Broncos would have been back. Okay, I am mad.
I wasn't gonna say anything. But 3 of those rounds, if not 4 of those rounds, Winthrop would have won if there wasn't a DDoS attack happening.
No, Boise.
The amount of times you'd see a player from Winthrop just staring, and then the player would walk past them, and then they'd shoot 3 seconds afterwards was ridiculous. Okay,
I gotta believe in the Broncos, man. I honestly, I think it's just really unfortunate, and it's a reality of any tournament situation where stuff like this happens, and there's technical issues, technical mistakes. But at the end, I think we talked about it, right? It did get played out in a more like even playing field after the DDoS attacks were fully through, and Winthrop. I'm not really surprised Winthrop won, but I'll always believe. I'll be a hopeless believer.
So we'll go on. I'll go on a little bit of a tangent here as we cut over to our next section, and then we'll give some talking points about the teams themselves, and we'll go through some power rankings. Let's tell you about how the playoffs is viewing, right? It's a 6-team single elimination bracket in November. Your first and your second seed get a first round bye. This is fairly expected. Single elim, though, will put a lot of pressure on these teams, and that means that your first and second, which is likely to be Maryville, and we'll talk about the reasons why in a little bit here, will have a pretty easy first go of it to kind of watch these teams and then get some review in off the top. Maryville is at the top, and then that leaves our Utah roster down far at the bottom. Utah has we got 4 weeks where they have to basically win out. It feels like the rest of the season they don't have a chance to make playoffs. How are we feeling about our 2 lonely giants on both ends of the spectrum for us?
Angel, you take it first. I feel like you got words to say.
I'm in pain. Right, I love Maryville, and I'm very happy for Maryville. They're on track to go 7-0 for the fall, which is awesome. But I also really, I've grown to really like this Utah team, like a lot.
My favorite team.
They're like so fun to watch, and it's just like the smallest, tiniest mistakes. Like every single match is death by 1,000 paper cuts, and it hurts. It hurts so much. Like it's literally like watching like your friend like shuffle like a deck of cards, and then he slices the tip of his finger right underneath his fingernail on a card.
Why are you giving us that imagery?
And it hurts. It hurts so much to watch this team, and I want to see them win, but now they have to play like the 3 best teams because they have to go through like Maryville and St. Clair. And oh my god,
their next. So that's what I was gonna bring up. Their next matchups are as follows: West Virginia, Maryville, Boise. We know they're on a heater. Those 3 are like, listen, I'm the vibes person, and even I'm like,
yeah.
I don't know. I feel like I can stretch it out only a certain amount.
What we're seeing, y'all, is that we had a bracket-cursed Maryville, right, who had arguably the toughest start to the season in terms of their schedule, and they flew through it, winning every single series. You had Utah, who had a solid bracket picture in front of them at the start of the season. They had to win those games, and unfortunately now that they didn't, their chances going forward are even more slim because they've got the reversal of what Maryville's was, where they've got arguably some of the toughest opponents still remaining. And teams that we're going to talk about later as well, like Boise State, who are kind of on a tear and really working their way through and impressing a lot of us. So hard-pressed to ask us out of Utah, but no matter the case, I think they are the case for the most entertaining team to watch week by week. Even if it is death by 1,000 paper cuts, like those car crash videos, you can't look away. You know,
oh no!
But like, you have to see the ending for it because every moment leading up to it is something you can learn from, and I think that's the way teams have to kind of look at it for. So our fight for our bottom two is really up in the air about who's going to get knocked out for our rankings going into playoffs. But then that kind of brings up the bigger question in our power rankings themselves. How are we feeling? Maryville feels uncontested. They'll get their bye. Who's joining them in that first week bye? And then who else is going to fall into those next four for our power rankings going into playoffs?
I feel like we all agree on two, right?
I was going to say, it's because St. Clair and Winthrop are the only two that are up there. So it's just a matter of who's going to win that head-to-head. Just as much as I'm like, it's Tillo time, like run it up, like yeah. I have a feeling that, I mean, well, first of all, we're gonna find out pretty soon. Like Winthrop and St. Clair are the next matchup. That is, and whoever wins that is going to determine, in my opinion, who's going to be at the top, because it's the head-to-head of the two last remaining teams that can contend for the top two spots. As much as I would love to be like Tillo time, I think Winthrop's going to get it. The only monkey wrench in this plan, and I don't like bringing this up, but I'm going to bring it up because it actually matters, is that Winthrop University is playing in the Ascension play-ins, and most of them are now out in Sao Paulo, and they're in Brazil. So they're playing in a different tournament right now. Because of that, there is a bit of a chance for St. Clair to do something funny. Because of that. And normally I don't like bringing it up, but it's a factor here that maybe we can see St. Clair steal it away. That's a storyline, and I want to put that, like, a little bit of that into them, but I still will give it to Winthrop overall, just as an overall blanket, because they are, by, I think just by player and, like, by statistics, they are generally a really strong and probably the better team, but, environment matters.
Ancient?
Winthrop are like that.
Yeah.
Therefore, Winthrop will win.
The crazy part to me is I would love to give so much confidence to the Saints, and I truly do most of the time. But this is Winthrop we're talking about, and this is a Winthrop team that they are in the same exact mindset as Maryville. They go in knowing they can beat every team. They know in thinking they're going to beat every team, and the confidence is king. And I haven't met that kind of mindset just yet out of the St. Clair Saints. They're really respectful. They like the conversations in their post-game interviews. They like talking things through, but they just don't have that same exact mindset, that I'm going to win mindset. And I think that in series like that, where it's going to be that close on paper, will be enough to do it. The vibes almost are enough to kind of overthrow the two sides of that coin. So that the battle for who gets the second round bye, the second seed bye, is big. But I think the biggest one is going to be those two teams that get knocked out first, which means who is going for 5th and 6th, who's trying to lock those in. How are we feeling about that, nerds?
Well, I mean, you said, for some reason I thought you were going to say who's going to go out, and I'm happy that's not the case. But I think 5th and 6th, me personally, I want to say Boise, because, they've been my dark horse, and because of also how unfortunate Ohio State has been in terms of just back and forth. West Virginia, I have a feeling Boise's going to be in 6th. Utah, Ohio State, it's going to be tough. It's just genuinely going to be tough for them. The one thing I will say is that I'm pretty sure the reason I also think Boise is going to be 6th is let me double check. Boise beat Ohio State, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So that's where my head is at for them being 6th. What would need to happen is Boise would need to essentially lose the rest of their matches, which might happen, and Ohio might need to pick up a match to be 2 and 3 and in the current standings. And then inevitably they would just win because they have more standings. But if they have the same record, because of the head-to-head, Boise would be ahead of them. And that's why my logic is they would be stealing 6th.
It's more difficult as well for Ohio State because they have Stony Brook, West Virginia, and Maryville as their next 3.
I mean, do you see Boise's run?
I mean, yes. Yeah. It's hard, but this is 4 of our top, 3 of our top 4, so...
Can I give a hot take for a second? Yeah. This might be a crazy take.
It. You're all for it. We're all for hot takes.
So I think we were all in agreement that 5th place team is going to be Stony Brook, right? We're all fine with that.
Yeah.
My pick for who's going to make 6th place.
Oh God, I know it.
Solely based on schedule is Utah, and I'm not joking.
What do you mean?
I'm not. No. Listen. I'm dead serious. I believe in these Utes. I believe in them. You have to understand. All they have to do is beat Boise. If they beat Boise and Boise lose the rest of their matches, they win. They get to go into playoffs. I mean, off of head-to-head.
So
it's either Utah or Ohio State.
Utah are the collegiate, the college football style of.
You're not wrong.
They do not control their own fate. But is basically where it's at.
But you're wrong because isn't the head-to-head of you? Because Utah, let's say Utah lose everything, beat Boise, Ohio State still beat them, so Ohio State would become 6th.
It's one or the other. It comes down to like map differential at that point. So
no, but Ohio State beat Utah, so in the head-to-head, Ohio State would be 6th. Why
yeah,
am I
but Boise beat
illogical?
Ohio State.
Yeah, it's like a
Big
triangle.
nerds. That's the voice
That's
of
the
reason.
point.
Yeah, I know, right? Wild. But like in the
Nope,
head-to-head,
Utah
it would
makes
still
playoffs,
beat
I don't care.
Ohio. No, it's dude. I'm gonna go call up the riot rep. Like, dude. Unironically, in a head-to-head like that, you go off of who won, and then if it's like all the same, then you go off of map differential. But if what you're saying is how it is, Utah lose everything, beat Boise, Ohio who beat Boise, and Ohio beat Utah. So if Ohio beat both Boise and Utah,
No,
they're
Boise
6th.
beat Ohio. Boise beat Ohio State. Boise State beat Ohio State. That makes it the triangle, and then it comes down to map differential.
Oh my God, dude! Utah would have to win. Utah would have to win 13-0, something like that.
We're up. We root for University of Utah in this household.
Infernosis.
All right, so that's before we continue on, before they just go at each other's throats for a little bit longer. Okay. Calm down, y'all. All right. We've got big matches to touch on. 2 of them in week 5, 2 of them in week 7. It's Winthrop versus St. Clair Saints, and then Stony Brook University versus Ohio State University for week 5. Big matches. A chance for Ohio State maybe to pull something off. That'd be a really tough one against Stony Brook, but conceivably possible, y'all. The Winthrop versus St. Clair, that's what we're saying kind of is going to determine who gets that 2nd seed. So that's coming up really soon. So keep your eye out for that one. Arguably the match of really the remaining section of this. St. Clair will also have to face against Stony Brook in week 7, and we do think Stony Brook is capable of that, but this is also the St. Clair side that we just said possibly could get 2nd seed. So if they win that, this maybe puts Stony Brook up at contention as well if we do see Winthrop lose out one of their games remaining as well, which they could, because in week 7, it's also a big matchup with Winthrop facing off against West Virginia. So clearly there is not a pretty picture still remaining in the docket for any of these teams. So you're going to have to continue to watch week by week, as you should be, to keep your eye out for what is to come. So that turns us over to a very quick short segment. Hint short segment, y'all. It's Vito, our newest agent that's stepping in. What the heck is going on as someone from Rainbow Six Siege? The ADS from Jaeger has made its beautiful return down into Valorant, so I'm all for this. Vito is now my favorite agent.
He's so
Nerds, may
overpowered.
I?
Yeah, go for it.
I've been geeking out, okay? Ever since this agent came out, and I've been seeing people talk about the setups. Vito is literally, let's combine Omen, the best parts of Omen, the best parts of KO, and the best parts of OP Chamber. That is what makes this agent so much fun to watch. You get the repositioning of like Chamber and Omen. You get the power to just shut down executes. Like, this is game changing. I'm pretty sure he'll be available for playoffs specifically. I think it's dependent on when the official release of Vito.
Just till playoff.
I think it's 2 weeks after release.
Week 7 in playoff. So yeah.
Yeah.
I wanna. Can I say my piece on Vito?
Yep.
Go ahead.
Sure.
I think. Well, first of all, run him in ranked until he gets nerfed, because he's getting nerfed. He has one of the most overpowered ultimates. At first I was like, L ult, like, it doesn't matter. Like, yeah, you don't get utility, but it's a gun. Like, just use your guns, right? He heals. His ultimate heals him. He has the 2 TPs, borderline silent, especially if you have fade util, and then on top of that you have the Jaeger deployable. So I think honestly, and something that our producer even brought up to kind of bring into the conversation of who we think will be the best Vito player when he's allowed, I would have to say, with how we've seen Giza,
Yearn.
Both of them are
I don't
so
think
good.
Giza will switch off.
I don't think Giza will. I think
he'll go flex Sentinel for it.
I think he could be a really good Vito because of Giza's flexibility and how we saw him on Chamber. That's why I was gonna say Giza. I know Angel had a really, really immediate response to Yearn, so I'll pass it over to you.
No, that was sickening. I just realized the demon that Riot has created with Yearn on Vito, because we see what Yearn can do on like Waylay, on like a duelist, and we're just giving a Sentinel another duelist capability. Oh, I'm sick.
When Wardell only locked Chamber and legitimately only knew how to play Chamber, and Wardell was arguably one of the best players in the world for a while there, and then the moment they nerfed Chamber, Wardell completely fell off every team in existence and basically stopped being a pro player, right? I think that's what we're going to see out of Yearn, is just going to be, oh, Vito's here, huge, let's just go crazy.
Yeah, generally speaking, I think that any really strong Sentinel is going to just be brought and bumped up for it in the playoffs. And I hope that when playoffs do come, we can see all of those nerdy setups come through.
Yeah. So my heart is full as someone from Rainbow Six, seeing Jaeger's ADS tearing out all the utility, pre-nerf ADS, mind you, as well.
Oh, Lord.
And that is a must-play operator in every single map, basically guaranteed for when it was meta, and still for the most parts is. So seeing Vito come in is bringing up the question to me, and this is something everyone can brew on. I won't even let y'all talk about it. When are we going to add an Agent Veto phase in Valorant where you can ban out specific agents? Please bring it out at some point, because Veto would just be a perma ban. But until then, let's enjoy Veto while Vito's going to be broken. Let's bring it over to our superlatives. Let's talk about our player-specific side of things just yet. Let's talk, who do we view as our mid-season MVP nerds? I feel like you are... Actually, you know what? I don't want to give this to you, actually. I take this back, because I know what you're going to say. Despite what we agreed on, AncientAngel, please tell me who the mid-season MVP is.
We'll go with what's agreed on.
So, yeah, mid-season, you know, we're halfway through. We've gotten a good enough idea of who's been performing where. And the MVP that we've all agreed on is Giza. Mr. Maryville came in undefeated. He's #1 in ACS right now after 4 matches. And like we all mentioned, right, the 4 hardest matches any team had to go through in the first 4 weeks. And he's just been dominated. Like, this guy is insane.
Can we say they have the 4 hardest? Because they didn't have to face Maryville.
I was about to say, okay. They fought their inner demons. They were battling with themselves a la Monk style under a waterfall.
I mean, honestly, the only weakness this guy has is that, like, he's a Celtics fan. That's really about it, man.
Yeah.
Foul play.
Swing.
Listen.
All right, let's jump over to who our most reliable or clutch player is, and I'll give this to Nerds. Who are you feeling? Or who are we
Listen.
feeling?
We came to consensus on this one, and I think me and Angel really connected, because it's Tillo time, baby. It's St. Clair's Tillo. Literally playing Fade, playing Sova, Info Initiator. One of the most clutch positions you could be in. Homie just runs in and wins the most insanely weird clutches. Like 1v3, pops out with an Odin, with a Guardian, with any like Phantom. And just like, it's Tillo time, sends it, and somehow wins the round. So I give it to Tillo. I think we all kind of agreed on it, just because, you know, the sort of like the style in which he plays in. And because of just like seeing some really good clutches, like the memorable ones, sent it off to him. Gave him a big nod.
All right, so that cuts over to our most improved, and AncientAngel had a really big fight for this player, so let's hear it.
Okay. Now, this is admittedly also speculation. There's a little bit of history behind it in the first 4 weeks, and a little bit of speculation solely off of Gunny. Okay, and if you know Gunny from Stony Brook, this is a Stony Brook player by the name of Abel, who has been an absolute star for this team, who's been, you know, fighting for this team, just going absolutely insane in these rounds, trying to put maps on his back in the server, right? We talk about the map they took off of West Virginia. That was off the back of Abel. We talk about the wins that Stony Brook has gotten. It's off the back of Abel. And now they've fully swapped the roles. So all those impressive Abel Yoru maps, that's full time now. It's Abel on the Duelist and basically on the Yoru full time. So, as you know, as much as we have to give him the shout for the first 4 weeks, this is also going into the next 3. You know, if Abel turns out to choke, then like, I don't know. But I still think he did a pretty good case at being able to be given this most improved. And I think it's absolutely deserved.
All right. So then it comes into our most out of pocket. I'll take this one just because it's Ohio State, and I said at the beginning of the season this was going to be the player to look out for. It's going to be Dez. Hand it straight over to Dez for Ohio State, because in my opinion, when we're looking at most out of pocket, it's going to be a player that you just don't know what's going to happen. They're just going to be ridiculous every time. And it's kind of ridiculous how unridiculous Dez can be sometimes. And then the very next week be the statistical best player by a unbelievably wide margin in the entire league, right? And that's just what Dez is. So against some opponents, cooks and fries. And that's always been the case for watching this player. If Dez was on any other team, I don't think it would change anything. Right? They could just do this against any team on any other team, but sometimes it's just they wake up on the wrong side of the pillow And it's like reaching into your pocket, thinking your wallet's in there, but then there's a hole in that pocket and you totally forgot. So Dez is out of pocket. I'm hoping to see more from Ohio State, and we talked a little bit about their run and potential for playoffs. We'll have to see how that pans out as well. Let's separate our team side of things for superlatives, the mascot side, and we've got a punny one for this Ancient Angel. We joked about it, but I think we have our decision.
No, it's the Saints.
Yeah, which one?
The Saints.
The Saints.
Which one?
Yeah, well, so I think, you can go Maryville Saints, you can go St. Clair Saints.
¿Por qué no los dos?
Let's cut it down the middle. Let's cut it down the middle. Let's go Seawolves.
Okay, yeah, no, that works for me. Stony Brook, best mascot.
Making business deals up there. What?
Okay.
I guess so.
Yeah.
There it is. Listen,
we just
I'm
brokered
not giving you
peace.
any money for it, but I'll
No,
give
that's
you
fine.
0% stake in the company. Let's jump over then to most improved. Speaking of high stakes, this is one that was kind of a bit of a battle between us, actually. So I'm not going to give it to Ancient Angel because I'll give them the next one. I know you're super excited about that one. Let's hand it over to instead Nerds, who's our most improved.
I've been saying Boise State, and the reason I've been saying that is because we're talking about measuring improvements. This is to Angel. We're measuring the improvement of a team from its baseline to what it is now. I think Boise State has showed a lot of promise, and they could do a lot more, and they've improved with that promise. Now, are they perfect? No. Are they going to make a deep run? I don't know. But are they improving? They are, baby! Broncos! Let's get them!
All right, so then that cuts over to what our next segment is, which is where there's a heated debate on this. Most surprising or better than expected. We were very much so considering giving this to Boise State, right? This was the idea. It was either between Boise State for most improved or Boise State for most surprising. And so it was kind of this contention, and Ancient Angel was really vying for Boise State and most surprising, but then we turned, most improved for Boise State. Then we were telling we don't know which direction. We settled on one. I think we picked the right decision. What is it, Ancient Angel?
Okay, so let me take you all on a little journey, okay? It's the start
5
of
hours
Division
later.
1. No. This is going to be really quick. It's a little journey. It's the start of Division 1. 8 teams are locked in. We already knew the big 4. I had a team in 7th. And Nerds, week 0, talking about, oh no, they have Aura. They have the best mascot. That we literally just said. They have the best mascot. And then week 1 happens. And there's an interview, and one of the Maryville guys goes, no, this is like a team that you actually need to look out for, and they look really good. And Stony Brook comes on the map and just destroys everyone's expectations. They get a huge, upset win. At least in our minds, it was an upset win, because we just didn't know what to expect, and they just show up and obliterate everyone's expectations. Okay? This Stony Brook team is on top. And I'm very, very happy with the performance they've had so far. I have bought in fully to the stocks. Let's go Stony Brook. Let's go Seawolves.
Truly, I just want to say thank you truly for that, because it proves my point that they were better.
No.
They weren't improving.
No.
They weren't improving. They were already good. They were already good.
Nope.
Okay, all right. I agreed with you on that, actually. So I thought you were going to go vibes is the way to go, which I was immediately going to disagree with. But let's start over to our most unpredictable. We consider this as crazy comps, but I think that we've kind of changed it within the booth between us, saying it's not really the crazy comps we're looking at specifically, but more so the unpredictability of the roster, it seems like, for us Nerds. This was a choice for us.
Yeah, because St. Clair, they have I think Angel, you said it was a 6-7 man roster. And then they had Jazzykins as well, but then you rotate the players out. You sometimes have certain players playing in one week, and then you have players not playing in that week. I know Jazzy's off doing game changer stuff, for example. And so because of that, we kind of can't even, not only do they have to change their actual comps, which, to be fair, they haven't been that crazy. They've been slotting some of the same players in when they can, and they've had their flex players really probably working with Tillo and the coaching staff to make sure that they can slot into where they need to. But on a real note, I mean, when you're playing with different players, they're going to be playing differently. So we can't expect that the synergy of one team is going to be the same as the synergy of the other.
So then that brings us to our funniest moment. We're going to our overall segment. Two things left here for superlatives. So let's talk about our funniest. Ancient Angel, this one we were really kind of didn't have a great idea. We didn't want to call it any specific plays as being really funny, right? Because then it's like, well, the team that was funnied against, it kind of feels bad,
They got funnied
right?
on.
But we found a great moment outside of it, which, yes, the team is still kind of getting feels bad at the end of it, but it was kind of worth it, and it was kind of mostly at us, it feels like. So we'll gladly take the hit on us.
So it was week 2. and it was
Another
Boise
short
State versus Ohio State. And all of us decided to pick Ohio State in the pick'ems, and then Division 1 on Twitter or X, they tweeted out our pick'ems, and then Boise State decides to 2-0 Ohio State. And so Daimyo then goes on Twitter and goes, guess easy pick'ems weren't so easy after all. We all look stupid. We all look really dumb. So thank you, Daimyo, for making us all look really dumb. W.
All right.
That's when I started believing. That's when I knew.
Okay, all right.
That's what I knew.
Listen, we're back to vibes again on Nerds. We're back to vibes again on Nerds. This cuts over to our last superlative. We jump on over into our previews for this upcoming week. It's Utah versus Ohio State. We kind of queued up as our best match, right? And as one who casted that one, I think in week 1, you're setting your precedent for what was kind of expected. You were like, oh, Winthrop, Maryville. This was the idea we wanted it to be, Winthrop and Maryville. We wanted it to be the very first game of Division 1. But it just wasn't. It just wasn't. It's frustratingly not. And it goes to the Utah versus Ohio State game, which, to be frank, maybe it's some bias from us. I've said it a million times. I think Utah is arguably the most fun team to watch. And if you have Ohio State go crazy with Dez at any point in time, Ohio State arguably is also one of the most entertaining teams to watch because Dez is just Dezing all over the place. So you had a just perfect matchup of Utah, who's conceivably the most fun team to watch, and Ohio State that can be one of the most fun teams to watch, and it went to all 3 maps, which is something we haven't really been able to say so far throughout Division 1. It's 3 total series that have gone to 3 maps, if not 2. It's just a low number, and we've expected many of these to go to 3, like we talked earlier about the West Virginia game. We expected them to get a 3rd map, force a 3rd map, still lose, but we expected them to at least force the 3rd map. It just didn't occur. So, best match, Utah versus Ohio State, very first week of the season. I hope that's a bit of a surprise for some of you out there. But let's jump on over to what we're seeing for the rest of it. We said the midpoint, the sign of things to come, the ashes behind us and still flames roaring in front of us. Let's talk about what we've got going in front of us. A 2-2 West Virginia facing off against a Utah, and we said Utah needs to win games. What's their chances for this, y'all?
Let's go Utes, bro. Let's go Utes. You said it. You said it. You said it, AncientAngel.
This is watching.
You know what?
Let's go
Utes.
Let's go Utes, baby.
I'm going to just go through the matches first, and then we'll do pick'ems, and I'll ask questions. Just so we can deal with all the vibes at one time. We're not splitting out the vibes separately. Next up would be Boise State versus Maryville. A 1-3 Boise State and a 4-0 Maryville. The chances for that we'll have to see. And then it's Ohio State in a must-win game to try to get that 6th and 5th seed against Stony Brook, who's 2-2. Also feels like a must-win game for them to guarantee they stay within that playoff bracket completely. And then what we consider to be our match of the week here, folks, the 3-1 Winthrop racing off against the 3-1 St. Clair Saints. So a lot of really good games, more specifically that last one to determine who really will get that 2nd seed. That's the painted picture. But let's throw it back up. West Virginia versus Utah. Is it going to be a vibes-only session here from Nerds? Let's find out. What are we thinking?
I'm just saying. We said the Utes, so I'm expecting it from there. I think West Virginia's got it, but also because I have another pick that's more viable.
Okay.
I'm not ready for that next pick. But I will say this. This is my personal, I wouldn't say my personal match of the week, but these are both of like my 2 favorite teams in Division 1 playing against each other. So this feels like I'm going to be like throwing a child away in favor of another. But like it hurts.
Oh God.
But
you good, Scott? You need a hug?
No, I'm good, thanks.
West Virginia just has looked so good, and I feel like this is a match for them to bounce back after what was a pretty underwhelming performance against Maryville, and I think that they have a really good shot at doing it, especially if Urine is like actually there and not missing in the void wherever he was. Maybe the release of Vito has got him excited to play Valorant again, and he'll join us for week 5. But I have West Virginia taking this match.
I agree. Unanimous decision for West Virginia so far in week 5. We'll touch it over to Boise State versus Maryville. Do we? This is the one where you're going off of vibes.
Every week, baby.
I'm not even going to throw it over.
Every week, baby. And
Maryville gets my nod. AncientAngel.
Can we move on?
It's even
Maryville,
wilder because I always glaze. I always glaze wildfire.
2-1, Nerds. 2-1. Okay.
No,
Ohio State versus Stony Brook. A must-win game for Ohio State, like we mentioned in Stony Brook, who needs to bounce back after losses that probably they should have won or could have won, like the one against West Virginia, right? So how are we feeling on this one?
Stony Brook. This is like full non vibes take. Like I think Stony Brook. Like we literally talked about how they're going to be looking better, right? So it's going to be hard for us to see it. Plus the inconsistencies that we've seen for this squad. Like I love, it's Dez time, baby. But like, is it Dez time? It's changed from it's Dez time to is it Dez time? Because realistically, it's a matter of what Ohio State we're going to see. So off of just raw statistics, you give it to Stony.
Okay.
I mean, this is the thing. This is the coin flip match of the week in my mind. I think this one goes either way. I think, yes, Stony Brook, they should look better with the new roles. But then again, it's new roles and things are untested. They went against Utah last week and Utah, they're winless, right? So that has to be, in my opinion, taken into account. And so this Ohio State team, if it was last week and this was the matchup, I would have said Stony Brook without a doubt. Now, wasn't super sure. I still think I'm giving it to Stony Brook.
Okay.
But that might change once I fill out the pick'em sheet. So if the Twitter says something different,
then...
like
the way I did in week 1 where I forgot what I picked in the pick'em sheet and then completely picked differently.
That's a coin flip match, though, 100%.
Podcast. All right, so I'm going to go Stony Brook as well, just because I have confidence in Stony Brook, and I would love to see Dez all over the place, but we'll have to see if that actually comes true for Ohio State. So then what I'm going to do here for the funny part is we are not going to talk about the match of the week at all. You are going to give one word. It's going to be the team's name. You cannot tell me why you picked that name. You just have to tell me in a single word the team. Ancient Angel.
Infiltrator. Winthrop.
That's 3 words. I'm kicking off the podcast next week. Nerds. 2 already.
See, the problem is that my pick is 2 words.
Stop. You're done.
No,
you're done. You don't even get to put your pick in. You have broken the rules. You don't even get your pick in.
How do I
I'm giving it to
St.
Winthrop.
Clair? How do I say St. Clair if it's 2 words?
Player to watch.
I'm
We joked
losing
about
it.
it.
I'm losing
You
it.
spoke on it. You said it was going to be the teams for Winthrop versus St. Clair. Who were the 2 players we said we wanted to keep an eye out for in week 5?
It's got to be the duelists, right? Both of them start with an I, anyways, right? It's Instinct and Infiltrator. It's got to be those 2. I think the level up that we've seen from Instinct recently has been really, really fun to watch, and then Infiltrator still consistently, I think, is the best duelist in collegiate. So,
all right.
Well, I just am going to blanket agree with that statement because I'm still reeling over the fact that you said say 1 word and St. Clair's 2.
That's 1 word.
Okay, I said team name. Same team name. I followed up by saying team name, and that was it.
On God, I juked myself.
It doesn't matter. Final remarks here. I'm not even handing it over to Nerds here once again. Let's make podcast equipment more expensive, everybody. So I'm kidding. It's been a great time here for Tilt Proof for week 4 for this segment. Who is going to continue to rise? Who's going to fall further into the ashes? And who's going to make their way into the playoffs? It's the halfway point. There's still plenty more games to go, so don't go anywhere. But that's it from us this week. We appreciate you stopping by, and we'll see you guys for this weekend at Division 1 and then the start of the next week's podcast just the same. See you there.